also send it to people.
And I think it was going to pass. I think, it's not a new idea all the way from the New Deal. In the 2008, we had the Build America bonds. And I think now we'll definitely have an infrastructure. It's the easiest way to bring back people to work. And when we're seeing the unemployment numbers continue to grow and the industries that obviously are impacted, like the travel hospitality, I think we're going to see, big support to this bill to give people jobs back, give people good paying jobs, and also to deal with an issue that is a real issue to all of us, which brings us back to CoPeace. CoPeace has been aware of this issue since its inception, and its first two investments were actually in companies that deal with the infrastructure issues. One is a waste energy company, and the other is actually a power infrastructure company. Because in order to change the world, we have to change our infrastructure, and it's not really fixing the infrastructure; it's building a brand new infrastructure for the future. And that's what we're focused on. And, not to sound too grandiose, but in every aspect, both on the physical aspect of the infrastructure, the environmental aspect of the infrastructure, and the social aspect of the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So that's really our choice. And I think this, although a difficult time, has given us some time to take an introspective and see and really feel what the issues are. Right now, we got a glimpse of what 5 years from now is going to happen on the internet infrastructure, right? We have all of a sudden, instead of, a billion people at the same time trying to watch Netflix, we have 2 billion people trying to watch Netflix. That situation was going to happen in 5 or 10 years, and we thought that we weren't ready for it. So I think we got a good wake-up call, and I think that's where the economy should be focused on, is going to be focused on. And luckily, we're going to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We've been discussing this for a while here at CoPeace. So we're excited that, we're positioned in the right way to support that movement and be part of that movement for change, and really feel like we can play a big role in that, both in small local communities and globally around the world. That's it. 3 minutes, guys.
Yeah, you did it well there.
Yeah.
Well done,
3 minutes, or you can go 2 hours. So that was that was impressive. Ed, I think you're next up to talk a little about how we are solving kind of our virtualness, which we are always set up to be.
Sure.
And introduce yourself. For many people here, this is your introduction to Ed Tepper, who is we're extremely excited that he's joined our team. He's in the New York area, and his skill set is what we needed right now. So we're thrilled to have him as part of our team.
Oh, thank you, and thank you all for being here today. It's pretty amazing that I'm just, from a show of hands for those of you who are video, how many of you before all this happened were using video conferencing, for example? Yeah. So, what's pretty amazing to me about what's been going on right now is that, we're all highly adaptable beings, right? The amount of change that has occurred over the last several weeks and months has been extraordinary, and we've been able to adapt by being able to just do this. When I first started interacting with Craig and I have known each other a long time. We worked together at another company called Sport Vision, which seems like 100 years ago, where we really changed the world in terms of how people watch sports on television with the introduction of the virtual first down line, the K-zone in baseball, and a variety of other things. And the pace of change then was extraordinary, and things have become technically possible today that by using our iPhones that weren't even possible back in 1998 when the first yellow line appeared on a football field. So
our slogan there when we had the company that created the first down line and many other enhancements for broadcast was changing the game. And now Ed and team and we've decided that now we're trying to change the world in our little way. So
absolutely. And what's cool about all that is that when we first tried to introduce the first down line, no one wanted it because people thought it was stupid. Why would they need to know where the first down line is? Everyone knows that from watching it on TV. And now you can't watch a game without it. now we're learning about the different technology tools that we have available today to stay connected and be as effective as we can be in a very challenged environment by using, at least at the rudimentary level, video conferencing. But one of the things that really struck me about CoPeace when Greg and I first started talking about this was the advanced development of systems to be able to communicate with each other and be effective as a virtual company. They had assembled a series of tools and an extraordinary team that was able to work extremely well and interactively, even though being in physically different locations and not having the need to have a large office overhead and so forth. That was a real advantage, and I valued that very much because I'm not ready to move to Colorado yet, Craig, so you're going to have to wait a little bit.
Well,
so
it
being
snowed
able
yesterday.
to be
60s coming up.
all right. Well, so how do you really function as a virtual company? And it's not just about video conferencing. I mean, we're all here doing this, but there's a lot more to any business interaction than just what we do by looking and talking to each other, whether without video. And one of the things that impressed me about CoPeace is this cohesion, this interaction that and interactivity that took place back then. And having worked at a number of companies in physical locations, large and small, this company functions extremely well in terms of its communication across thousands of miles, when people sitting next to each other in cubicles don't even talk to one another in a traditional office sometimes. And so the teamwork, the interaction, it's about culture as much as it is about the technology and the tools that we use. So what were the other pieces that we put together in order to do this? And that's in large credit to our team member, Jim Crawford, who has researched and developed the right tools for us to interact with one another. And we've evolved since the time that I've joined from one set of tools to a newer set of tools that's even more integrated. We started out using something called Slack, which was a chat-like program where you can have all kinds of individualized and group conversations on a variety of topics and organized as highly searchable. That was a very helpful tool, and that reduced the usage of email in our business quite substantially, at least in terms of internal communication. That was one piece of like that. Just how do you have that conversation when you can't pick up the phone or get on the video chat or something? A lot of that interaction was occurring without jamming up people's inboxes and email. That was one piece. Another piece was project management software and the ability to be able to stay on task and share information with people so that you don't have half a dozen people in your organization trying to find out and have access to the same information about the status of projects, due dates, responsibilities and roles, etc. And having a way of taking advantage of what technology does well, which is information sharing, communication, organization, timelines, etc. So we use a project management software system called Monday.com, but there's many others that you could use. So in stitching that together along with the video conferencing capability and Slack, we were able to have this daily dialogue. And the other important piece was sharing calendars and sharing files. And you needed a platform to do that. So CoPeace had cobbled together a number of different disparate systems and made them made them really work together in concert. But that wasn't enough. We decided that we needed to go further and deal with a higher level of security and integration. And through Jim's efforts in particular, we decided to migrate to Microsoft Teams, which we did very recently. And I think our timing was pretty amazing in relation to the way the world changed. We made that change not very long ago, but we didn't miss a beat. But there were huge advantages to that, and there's advantages to every organization, which has to do with how do you function when the world changes. For us, this was business as usual in terms of our day-to-day interactions, because we had those systems in place. We understood how to use them, and even though we moved to a newer system that was more secure and more fully integrated in terms of the sharing of information, files, schedules, etc., we weren't getting bogged down with the learning curve. And that's something that we really want to share with the rest of the world too, with our stakeholders, with our investors, with is how we do this and how we can help other organizations do this, because it's really important. It's more than just getting on a Zoom conference, talking to each other, and everyone going off in their different directions. We stay connected, we interact on a regular basis, and the fact that we're in physical different locations has not hampered us in any way during this incredibly challenging time.
Thank you, Ed.
And
Yeah,
we had a question from someone on the call. How have the events of the last few weeks going forward made you adapt even more virtually, or has it been mostly the same?
Oh, that's a great question, Mark. Thank you. I think for us, it really hasn't changed the way in which we've had to adapt in terms of our functional operations, because we already had everything in place. We're learning some new tools. We're using Microsoft Teams, but we all get how all that works. So for us, it really hasn't affected our day-to-day activities. We're in different locations, so we don't have to worry about social distancing. We're already pretty socially distant. And as far as our functionality, we haven't sacrificed any functionality at all in terms of our day-to-day.
I think, yeah, good question. I think we're being careful in our messaging. I mean, because we feel pretty good about how our team is set up, we know that many others are not feeling that same way. So we've been, we've kind of pulled back on some of our, we had some social media going that Lindsay was overseeing, and some of that we decided, well, we don't want to, sound too positive right now. So it's a bit of a balance. So I think we've been very aware of what's going on. So we're trying not to toot our horn too much, but we do feel good about where we are compared to what's going on with everybody else. So I think that's a good internal team feeling. Megan, you're up.
So, yeah, Jim and I are actually going to close it off with a couple positives. I'm going to have Jim give you just a real quick glimpse at our brand new website. And I see RT is on the call too. Both RT and Jim and a few others on our team put a lot of effort into this, and it's been probably a 3-month process over the course since the beginning of the year. So appreciate that. So Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Meg. Yeah, I'm Jim. I'm the Director of Communications at CoPeace here, for those of you who don't know. And yeah, just to piggyback off the whole virtual thing, it's been great just for us sort of naturally flow. People have entered our world more than anything, where everybody's virtual now. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to sort of be in place with that while remaining, sympathetic and empathetic, and understanding that people out there are struggling to get online or don't even have the opportunity to do that. So
and we're willing to be helpful for others. So if there are people in here who are struggling with that and don't know how to kind of navigate this virtual world, it's kind of second nature to us now, but I think that's something that we would like to provide to the community. Sorry to interrupt you, Jim.
No worries. So yeah, as Meg said, we are very happy to have recently launched our new website. It's a slow process. It's a big project, but every day we're just trying to make it a little bit more functional, add more resources, make it a place that people can go and learn about impact investing, get a better understanding of what the world is like. And so our impact page is a great example of that. I'll just show it off because it's one of the pages I'm more happy with. It's got a basic intro to impact investing. For those of you that haven't read this was a sort of white paper or pseudo white paper, what we've dubbed a rainbow paper, and it's just sort of an introduction to what impact investing is. What are all these words that people keep throwing around? So if you're interested in reading that, it's a short, sort of halfway academic, halfway informative document, but it also includes things like our harvest, our report on the impact we had in the last year. You can see things like that, all of our blogs that are going up. We've added a page for our current portfolio. So as we start to, interact with these companies and grow this portfolio, we'll have, our portfolio there. People can go view and see the impact that these companies are having. Like I said, it's a slow to grow process. We're not jumping the gun on anything. Obviously, just with current events, it's everybody's sort of being cautious, and we're moving forward, but not at any neck-breaking speed. So we're trying to bring these resources along with us and present them to people. And we're really happy. Thank you again to RT and Meg and the team at Versatility, which is a group out of Denver that helped us create this site. So yes, please feel free to take a look. Feel free to send us an email if there's stuff broken. I'm sure there is, you know, that's part of coming into a new website. So feel free to send us feedback. We appreciate that. And yeah, thanks.
Scroll down just a little more to show the, yeah, cool. Thank you,
so
Jim.
we've made it clear, you know, where we're trying to focus our energy right now, the causes that we're focused on, and even have the opportunity for potential companies to reach out to us with investment interest. So yeah, I recommend you just jumping around if you haven't seen it. If you still have questions about CoPeace, it's a pretty good, it's a better resource than where we were a few days ago, and we're happy to be improving it all the time.
Great, thanks, Jim. Before we move on to questions, I just want to close with sort of a snapshot of CoPeace during a time of crisis. I think it's critical within our own team and even within our partners and relationships that we always try to find positive in even the most difficult times, even the most challenging situations. And so we really do try to put that at the forefront of every discussion and every action that we take. A couple just closing thoughts on what this crisis has done to the business world. I think it's brought in two components. Number one, it's brought humanity into the world of business. Historically, it's often been you go to your office, you do your job, you leave, you come home, and then you have your life. And I think now that we're all in this together, you know, Jim's got his cat over there on the beach and we get to see him, and someone might have kids in the background or whatnot, and you start to really interact with people on a very different level, even during a meeting such as this. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's the way that business should be going, and what we want to try to bring in more of that in personal relationships and more of a personal touch. And then secondly, I feel like this is bringing our global community together. I mean, everyone has to jump in, do their part, reach out to neighbors, both near and far. And that's also not a bad thing. It brings in more intention into the decisions that we make, how we spend our money, how we invest our money. And I only foresee that to be a growing trend after we get out of this disastrous situation that we're in right now. So
yeah, I agree. I think I think impact investing and investing in things that you believe in and things that are long-term good for our world is going to be more important than ever once we get out of here. So you said that well.
So from here, we'll just open it up. If anybody has questions, feel free. I believe you all can unmute yourselves and jump in and ask a question. You can put something in the chat. We're here. Drink your coffee, whatever you want.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Steve Petroconis, I know you have a question. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. Hold on, hold on. Okay, try now.
I want to know where Jim Crawford is sitting on.
There you go.
Jim's got a question. Yes,
Jim's got skills.
My beautiful virtual background here. Yes. No, it's a lot less exciting if I turn it off. So you know, I had the pineapple shirt going already, so I just decided to stick with the theme and bring a little sunshine to the Friday. So. Yes.
Good job.
Yeah. Hanan, you can tell the story of the sweater if you want.
Well, this was, we went to the ESRI Conference, which is a very button-up conference for registered investment advisors in the Broadmoor Hotel. If any of you have been in Colorado Springs, it's a very, very high-end hotel. And obviously everybody's in suit and ties, and you know, in my background is in the capital market investment world, so I was also in my suit. And Craig showed up in his Icelandic sweater. And for ones of you that know Craig and have seen him in real life, he's not a small person in stature, so really stood out. And we were the highlight of the conference, gravitating toward a table, up the sweat about the appearance. Thing attention, and it is a good story, but you know, we have since relentlessly teased Greg about the sweater.
Yeah, I found it. Shauna actually hid it in somewhere in my closet, but I was able to bring it out for today for our first coffee with CoPeace. Thank you, Han.
Mark
Han,
says you wore it in
so,
DC too.
what's that? I know. Yeah. Other questions. Really
other questions. Yep.
Appreciate everybody. Yeah, appreciate everybody coming in. I see people from all over the place, so it's really cool.
I can talk a little bit about what we're doing with our communication right now.
Please.
That helps. Yeah. So I think it is important. Everybody got spammed with COVID-19 statements from every company they've ever given an email address to over the last month. I don't care that much what PayPal is doing about coronavirus, but I still get an email about it once a week or something. So we were very aware that this is something that's already encompassing people's whole lives, and we don't really need to bring what we're doing as a company, flash that around. As Craig said, we were fortunate to already be in a virtual setting, and so really we've been viewing ourselves more as just a resource and sort of a statement about the way business can be going, and that as Meg and Craig have sort of alluded to, when we get to the other side of this, what are the long-term ramifications? What does business really start to look like? Does this shift what we want to do and have as a mindset as a humanity, and what we're doing with our money? So we're just sort of framing it as, we're trying to go about it the right way. We're not again trying not to be verbose with it, but making it clear that we're trying to walk the walk and move that direction, and support people, and that things are still achievable and things can still flow and keep moving in a virtual setting like this. Obviously, big parts of the economy have been hit, but we're fortunate to be in a part that continue virtually, and so we benefit from that, and we want to promote that as a good sort of standard for those that have that option.
Thank you, Jim. I just got a question from the point guard, Steve Williams, asking us how the market affects our thoughts moving forward with the downturn specifically. I'll let you, Hanan.
I was gonna say something. So with the downturn in the market, we definitely see, like I was saying earlier, we're seeing opportunities that highlight the importance of what we're doing, highlight the importance of investments, and give us some great opportunities to take advantage of the realization that everybody is having that something needs to be changed. People are staying home, and I just saw today a picture of New Delhi that looks clear compared to a few months ago, where the smog and the pollution has really taken over the city. And I think we're seeing that in different places. I saw another article about over tourist areas that are finally allowing them to grow, like the Great Reef, like different aspects of our world. And I think we're finally recognizing what it would be like to live in a world that we can live with, the environment in a good way. And I think this will just motivate people to find those solutions to go back to normal, but instead of creating the old normal, creating a new normal that fosters that. So I think opportunities there, and I'll say one more thing, and then I'll let you go, Craig. I think the other thing I wanted to highlight is right now there's a lot of philanthropical events, and my wife and I watched the Fox at home concert, and we see a lot of donations, and that's great. But I think, impact investing is going to be important 2 months from now, when everybody, or 3 months from now, when we all went back to our daily lives and our busy lives, and we all start feeling the hit from the economy, and the purse strings are going to get tight because of all those issues, and it'll be people will be obviously less motivated to donate, right? And philanthropy is going to be hurting. So that's when impact investing comes into play, because people will be able to use their money to grow their own wealth and generate income for themselves in the future, and provide support for the society and build on those aspects. So I think it's very important to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, I would say we've been in conversations with some foundations, and we had a conversation yesterday about actually they're getting fatigued with their philanthropic approach and saying, okay, it's time now for us to at least dabble into impact investing. So we're working on some options there. I think the other thing is, when the markets were going roaring and everybody was feeling really good about themselves, I think the valuations were kind of out of whack. So now that things are kind of tamped down a little bit, I mean, selfishly, kind of in a Berkshire Hathaway type of way, we can be the ones that are kind of helping people out, but also finding opportunities that may not have existed even a couple months ago, or where people thought, hey, they were worth so much money, and now their true value is kind of coming out a little more. So I think being in a position to be like Warren Buffett right now is not a bad position. We don't have as much money as Warren Buffett, but like where we're at. Steve, were you going to follow up there?
No, that was it. That was good.
Thank you. Good question. Anybody else?
So, hi, Craig. It's Randy. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, just curious as to your thoughts, and I apologize I had to join late coming out of another meeting, but you mentioned working with or talking to foundations and how it looks to them from an investment perspective. I'm wondering if your guys' thoughts on having done a couple of startups myself and raising that initial capital can be challenging. I'm wondering how you guys look at initial investment differently, depending on, I guess what I'm saying is there's some impact ideas out there that maybe don't have the same look from an investor, but have some long-term benefits. And I just wonder if the initial look at ideas might be different for your group.
I think so. I mean, I think our prism is always changing a bit, and I think that we're looking at things on a case-by-case basis. We have our CoPeace Finance that we started to kind of help out companies that were in the impact space that needed a little bit of help in the world of finance. And we've been approached by a couple of companies that seem to need our help right now, and they may not have been traditionally an impact company, but as we were talking yesterday with our team, as long as there is a positive impact kind of possibility there, we feel like we can have impact with these companies if we're helping them save themselves right now. So I think we're looking at everything in a case by case basis. I feel like people are finding us now that we've given some money out. So we definitely have opportunities. I think the good news is there's more opportunity for deal flow than we even probably thought originally when we started this. So I think the answer is yes. I mean, we're looking at everything on a case by case basis, and I think we're aware of ways to generate impact and return.
And Randy, just to add to that, as you know from starting startups and what we've discussed all the time, is we're looking for a good management team and a good business that is sustainable. And I think we just saw trial by fire. The companies that are sustaining now, we can actually see how the management team has reacted to the situation and really see what they've done, and really they got tested, and then we're able to now the market has created another funnel for us of the strength of the management team and a proof in the pudding of okay, what have you done to react to this? What have you done to pivot if needed in the market? So I think it's an interesting time for us, but it's also a very helpful time for us when we're looking at companies at this time specifically, to see how they're reacting to the bad times. It's easy when the market's all up and everybody's happy and everybody's throwing money and valuations are going crazy, to say, well, that's a great company with a great management team. But this is even almost, I'd say, a better time to find the good investments that are surviving or have a good plan and a good idea at this time.
Yeah. Thank you, Hanan.
Thanks.
Meg, anything else? Or we
No.
We want to talk about the series of these that
Yeah, so I'll close with that. First of all, if anybody would like any materials, we do have some updated materials, our executive summaries, one pager, things like that. I'd be happy to send that to anyone, so just reach out to me. Our intention is to have this every Friday for a half an hour, and I think we're going to explore having a guest speaker come in. We're still kind of working through that. We wanted to see what the reception was to this initial one, and So we'll be sending some things out next week regarding next Friday's event. Same time, same place, same link, everything. So please feel free to share this with your network and people who might just want to learn a little bit or just interact with other people. That's really all it's all about. So yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody.